Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcasting to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Israel has successfully launched its Beresheet spacecraft into orbit this morning, passing its first hurdle in a 6.5 million kilometers journey to the moon. In response to Israel's decision to withhold 5% of the tax revenues that are transferred on a monthly basis to the Palestinian Authority over its continued financial support for families of Palestinians that were either killed or incarcerated as a result of terror-related offenses, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas announced that Ramallah will no longer accept any of the taxes it receives from Israel. An international economic forum which aims at building business relationships between Israelis and Palestinians that live in the West Bank concluded with a call by the United States on deepening economic relations despite a long hiatus on a political process for the decades-old Mideast conflict. Israel has successfully launched its Beresheet spacecraft into orbit early this morning, passing its first hurdle in a 6.5 million kilometers journey to the moon. Prior to the launch, the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, declared that while the mission signifies a big step for Israel, as it becomes the fourth country in the world after the United States, Russia, and China to realize this highly complex aspiration of making a controlled touchdown on the moon's surface, the persistence of Israeli ingenuity that made the launch possible presents an even greater achievement for Israel's technological sector.
זהו צעד גדול לישראל, אבל צעד ענק לטכנולוגיה הישראלית. אני אמרתי לפני כמה שעות שמדינת ישראל היא כוח עולמי עולה. עולה ועולה עד הירח. זה מראה למה אנחנו מסוגלים. בזכות אנשים שנמצאים כאן ואנשים שנמצאים כאן מאחוריי, וכל עם ישראל מתייצב פה מאחוריכם באמונה גדולה ובהתלהבות ענקית.
The Israeli Prime Minister further noted that an Old Testament, an Israeli flag, and a quote that will be placed on the moon saying, Am Yisrael Chai, Hebrew for the people of Israel live, were placed on board the Israeli spacecraft along with relevant research and technology equipment.
אני ביקשתי להעלות תנ"ך, אמרו לי זה בסדר, זה כבר טופל. תנ"ך, דגל ישראל, והכתובת עם ישראל חי על הירח. זה דבר שאפשר היה רק לחלום עליו. אנחנו מתפללים להצלחה, אבל גם הניסיון, עצם הניסיון, זו הצלחה כבירה.
Israel's unmanned robotic lander called Beresheet, Hebrew for Genesis, along with a communications satellite for Indonesia and an experimental satellite for the U.S. Air Force, made up the cargo aboard the American SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. 34 minutes after the launch, the Israeli spacecraft successfully entered into Earth's orbit.
It was a very exciting and successful launch for us. We had a nice flight of the rocket and were released well into orbit. Most of the spacecraft systems are working very well, and we are slowly bringing more and more systems online. So it looks like a successful launch up to now, and we are looking forward for the rest of the mission.
I witnessed the Apollo landing as a child, and I dreamed to be at this situation of launching my own spacecraft. I've been working in the project for 5 years. I joined 5 years ago, and we were dreaming about this moment, and it became a reality, so it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
If all goes according to plan for Beresheet, the lander will arrive on the near side of the moon in mid-April following a 2-month journey. While a direct flight path from Earth to the moon would cover a little over 386,000 kilometers, the Israeli spacecraft will travel through 6.5 million kilometers based on a flight path that will allow it to arrive to the moon safely. Now, in other news, in response to Jerusalem's decision to withhold 5% of the tax revenues that are transferred on a monthly basis to the Palestinian Authority over its continued financial support for families of Palestinians that were either killed or incarcerated as a result of terror-related offenses, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas announced that Ramallah will no longer accept any of the taxes it receives from Israel. Following an emergency meeting that was held in Ramallah on what they would perceive a suitable response to the Israeli decision, Abbas stressed that the Palestinian Authority will continue to support the families of whom he referred to as martyrs, even if the Palestinian Authority would have only 20 or 30 million shekels in its coffers. It is relevant to know that Israel collects about 700 million shekels, which is equal to about 170 million euros, in Palestinian taxes, and transfers around 146 million euros of that to the Palestinian Authority after deducting payments for electricity, water, sewage, and medical treatment services that Israel provides to the Palestinian population. It is also important to mention that last month the Palestinian Authority declined some $60 million in Washington's annual funding for the Palestinian security forces. According to a Palestinian source, the decision was made after concerns emerged about possible exposure to lawsuits under the new U.S. anti-terror law, known as the Taylor Force Act, which allows the U.S. administration to sharply reduce aid to the Palestinian Authority unless it halted its financial support to Palestinians convicted of terror-related offenses. The United States passed the Taylor Force Act last year after a 29-year-old American military veteran was fatally stabbed by a Palestinian terrorist while visiting Israel in 2016. Now to another matter, an international economic forum which aims at building business relationships between Israelis and Palestinians that live in the West Bank concluded with a call by the United States on deepening economic relations despite a long hiatus on a political process for the decades-old Mideast conflict. U.S. Ambassador to Israel David Friedman stressed that there is no good reason why the civilian population should suffer when so much good can happen prior to reaching a viable peace agreement between Israel and the Palestinians.
Many Palestinians that would like to be freed up to engage in business ventures with Israelis. And they're entitled to that opportunity. There is no good reason why people's lives should be put on hold in the interim. They should be forced to suffer. For what? We can do a lot of good and still work on the political process and not hold people hostage.
The remarks Ambassador Friedman made were immediately condemned by the Palestinian Authority, claiming that Washington has become a supporter of Israel's settlement activities on lands the Palestinians demand for their future states. Vassel Abu Youssef, who is a member of the Palestine Liberation Organization's executive committee, referred to the American diplomat's statement as a stab in the back of the Palestinian people and warned against any involvement or participation of any Palestinian in projects with settlers or meetings called by the American ambassador. In addition to threatening Palestinians from conducting business with Jewish settlers, Palestinian Foreign Minister Riyad al-Maliki asserted on his part that the United States has become an entity which does not deserve any reaction from the Palestinian leadership.
يعني هذه التصريحات لا تستحق حتى التعليق عليها من قبلنا لأنها تصريحات لا تعنينا ولا تصل إلى المستوى الذي يجب أن يعلق عليه أي طفل فلسطيني.
There was no immediate comment from the U.S. State Department to TV7's request for comment. Thank you for watching us. You can also watch us at TV7IsraelNews.com or TV7.fi. For any comments, please send your emails to israelnews@TV7.fi. For more updates from Israel and its region, please join our Facebook page and YouTube channel at TV7 Israel News. Keep praying for the peace of Israel and the peace of Jerusalem. Jonathan Hassan, have an Erev Tov and Shabbat Shalom. We will see you again on Monday at the same time.